Can you imagine falling from a height of over 10,000 meters and living to tell the tale? It sounds like something straight out of a superhero movie, but for one woman, it was a terrifying reality. This is the unbelievable story of Vesna Vulović. The flight attendant who holds the Guinness World Record for the highest fall survived without a parachute. Let's rewind to January 26, 1972, a crisp winter day. JAT Yugoslav Airlines Flight 367 was on its scheduled route from Stockholm to Belgrade, with a stopover in Copenhagen. On board was 22-year-old Vesna Vulović. Interestingly, Vesna wasn't even supposed to be on that flight. A scheduling mix-up meant she was confused with another flight attendant, also named Vesna. She was excited about the mistake, though. It was her first time visiting Denmark, and she planned to go shopping during the layover. She later recalled how the crew seemed unusually somber that day. The captain was reportedly locked in his room for 24 hours, and the co-pilot spoke constantly about his family, as if he knew something was about to happen. Vesna herself noticed a man at the airport who seemed agitated and checked in a bag, but didn't board the plane. It was a day filled with strange premonitions. After a short stop in Copenhagen, the McDonnell Douglas DC-9 took off, climbing towards its cruising altitude. About 46 minutes into the flight, as the plane flew over the snowy mountains of Czechoslovakia, a massive explosion ripped through the baggage compartment. The aircraft broke into 3 pieces in mid-air, a catastrophic failure at 33,330 feet. That's over 10 kilometers, higher than Mount Everest. For the 27 other passengers and crew members on board, the outcome was tragically immediate. But for Vesna, her story was just beginning. As the fuselage tore apart, Vesna was reportedly pinned to the back of the plane by a food trolley. This small, random act of fate might have been her first stroke of luck. The section of the fuselage she was in, complete with a piece of the wing, separated from the rest of the plane and began its terrifying descent. It plummeted for 3 long minutes, spiraling down towards the frozen, heavily wooded terrain below near the village of Srpska Kamenis. This section of the fuselage acted like a crude, makeshift capsule, shielding her from the initial blast and the fatal wind chill of the upper atmosphere. The wreckage slammed into a steep, snow-covered hillside at a sharp angle. The deep snow and dense pine trees acted as a natural cushion, absorbing much of the impact. It was here that a local villager, a former World War II medic named Bruno Honk, heard her cries. He followed the sound and found Vesna amidst the debris, her bright turquoise uniform making her visible against the white snow. Her legs were sticking out of the wreckage, while the rest of her body was trapped inside. He recognized she was still alive and administered first aid, keeping her stable until rescuers arrived. Without his timely intervention, she likely would not have survived. Vesna was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Her injuries were catastrophic. She had a fractured skull, 3 broken vertebrae, one of which was completely crushed, 2 broken legs, a broken pelvis, and several broken ribs. She was in a coma for 27 days. When she finally woke up, the first thing she asked for was a cigarette. She had amnesia and couldn't remember the flight, the explosion, or the fall. Her last memory was greeting passengers at the airport in Denmark. The doctors told her parents she might never walk again. But Vesna was a fighter. Against all odds, her recovery was nothing short of miraculous. After several complex surgeries, including one to fix her spine, and months of grueling rehabilitation, she slowly began to heal. She had to relearn how to walk, a process that took 10 months. Incredibly, within a year of the crash, she was not only walking, but had almost made a full recovery, albeit with a permanent limp and a noticeable twitch. The fall had left her with low blood pressure, which doctors believed was a congenital condition that might have saved her from her heart bursting on impact. The official investigation concluded that a bomb, planted in a suitcase by a Croatian nationalist group, was the cause of the explosion. Vesna, despite the trauma, didn't want to hide from the world. In fact, she wanted to fly again. She felt no fear of flying because she had no memory of the crash. The airline, Jati, found her story so inspiring that they gave her a desk job in their main office. She became a national hero in Yugoslavia, a symbol of resilience and survival against impossible odds. Her story was celebrated, and she was even honored by President Tito. She received the Guinness World Record in a ceremony hosted by none other than Paul McCartney. However, her life wasn't without further challenges. In the 1990s, Vesna became an outspoken political activist, protesting against the regime of Slobodan Milosevic. Her public profile as a national hero gave her a platform, but it also cost her the job she loved at the airline. She was fired for her political activities, but continued to fight for what she believed in. For the rest of her life, Vesna lived quietly in her Belgrade apartment, grappling with survivor's guilt. She often said she didn't feel lucky, but unlucky. "If I were lucky, I would never have been in this accident," she once stated. She questioned why she was the sole survivor, a heavy burden to carry. She never sought therapy, instead turning to her faith and finding solace in her quiet life. She never married, saying she felt it would be unfair to a husband, believing she could only give him her past, not a future. In 2016, Vesna Vulović passed away at the age of 66. Her friends, concerned after not hearing from her for several days, found her in her apartment. She had lived a full, though undeniably complex, life after her incredible survival. Vesna's story remains one of the most astonishing tales of survival in aviation history. Was it the food cart? The piece of fuselage? The snow-covered hill? Her low blood pressure? Or a perfect storm of all these factors combined? We may never know the exact sequence of miracles that saved her life. But what we do know is that Vesna Vulović was an ordinary woman who survived an extraordinary event, becoming an enduring symbol of the sheer, unpredictable power of the human will to live. Her legacy isn't just about the fall. It's about how she got back up. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as incredible as we did, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's most amazing stories. See you next time.